This is a special video, and it has to do with anaerobic versus aerobic metabolism. And over here I have a muscle cell. Over here I have any cell in the body. And so basically what I'm projecting here in the nutrition chapter, which we're not getting to until we get all the way out to chapter 24, out here at 9:14 in Biology 20B. But at any rate, I need to have this done for 20A and 20B, so I'm doing it. Okay, so what they're showing us here is that any food whatsoever that can be made into an acetyl group, I can get an acetyl group from an amino acid. I can get an acetyl group from glucose breaking down to pyruvate, removing a carbon dioxide and getting acetyl. It enters the Krebs cycle. I can do the same thing with fat. In fact, fat provides me with much, much more, because in fat I have 9 calories per gram. These two I only have 4 calories per gram. So basically the body favors, and the muscles in particular, favor fat over anything else. Muscles love fat. If you learn that, you'll have really learned something. Aerobic muscles, not anaerobic muscles. So let's take a look here at what I've drawn. And basically cells that are aerobic have a lot of mitochondria. This is a mitochondria. Okay, this is the outer membrane, the inner membrane. Inside of the mitochondria, we have Krebs cycle happening. Krebs cycle must be aerobic. It can only be aerobic. It requires oxygen. So let's get started here with glucose, breaking down glucose to pyruvic acid. If you're weightlifting and you've got so much weight on your bar or your dumbbell that you can only do 6 reps max before you get to the burn, the big burn. And when you hit 6, you can't make the 7th. It's absolute burn, and you have lactic acid, and you're done. You are done. And you rest, you rub yourself out a little bit, and you try to do another set, because basically you're ripping apart muscle. On the other hand, if you're a 10,000 meter master, and that's your event in the Olympics, and you're the world champion at the 10,000 meters, you are an aerobic master, and you're all about oxygen. Okay, and the only thing that you're burning, well, not the only thing, 65% of your burn is fatty acids. You're burning 35% of glucose in your workout. So 35% of the calories from your 10,000 meters comes from glucose as glycogen originally, and you're using it to set up your Krebs cycle with acetyl-CoA, 4 carbons. Here's glucose, break it down, break it down, break it down. Now you've gone from 6 carbons to 3 carbons, pyruvic acid. But you're still breathing well. You have oxygen, you can keep going. You take off a CO2, you have acetyl-CoA. You're in. And if you add a CO2, then you've got oxaloacetate, 4 carbons. Remember, this is a 3-carbon molecule. Take one away, you get acetyl. Add one, you get oxaloacetate. So oxaloacetate plus acetyl-CoA gives you the citric acid, and that's the beginning of Krebs cycle. Krebs cycle then goes around in a circle a couple of times. You get a couple of more substrate ATPs with CO2, but basically you have a redox reaction where you're reducing this while you're oxidizing this, okay, which means that you're adding hydrogen to vitamin B2 and vitamin B3, riboflavin and niacin, and you're taking that hydrogen over here to the oxidative phosphorylation, and you're pushing hydrogen through ATPase. Okay, I didn't put the ATP things in here, but so I'm going to have to do that. But at any rate, ATP is made. Every time hydrogen goes through here, I'm making ATP. How much ATP am I making? I'm making 38. Well, I'm making 34 here. I had 2 ATPs here. I had 2 ATPs here. I have 34 ATPs here. How much do I have total? I have a total of 38 ATPs. I need you to know that, right? So if you're anaerobic, you're burning up your sugar, your glucose, and you're going to hit the wall eventually. But that's the point, of course, if you're a weightlifter. But if you're a distance runner, that's not the point. The point is to finish the race, right? And your muscles are going to use fat to do it. How are they going to do it? Here are the fatty acids with a triglyceride. This is a triglyceride. Here's the glycerol. Here's the fatty acid right here. Okay? Here's the alpha and the beta carbon. Here's the omega. The omega minus 1, 2, 3, double bond. Whoa, I've got an omega-3 fatty acid. Okay, double bond is right there. Now, if I take these 2 carbons at a time, and down here, I'm making acetyl-CoA. Do you see how many 2 carbons I have to make how many acetyl-CoAs? So this is where I'm getting my acetyl-CoA. This is how I'm powering my Krebs cycle. This is how I'm making 34 ATPs. By pushing hydrogen through these ATPase pumps, I'm making ATP form. Rather than using ATP to push hydrogen, I'm actually pushing hydrogen in order to make ATP. I'm making the ATP pump work backwards. Are you with me on this? Okay, so I just basically need to add a couple of little things here to make this correct. So I'm coming over to where my colors are, right over here. Okay. And let's find my colors. Here they are. So that means that I'm taking ADP to get this right, plus a phosphate, and I'm making ATP. So I'm making ATP. I'm making ATP. How much am I making here? I'm making 34 ATPs. What is this called? It's called oxidative phosphorylation. If I add my 34 to these two over here, what do I get for a total? I get a total of 38 ATPs. If I do this in a test tube without membranes, just with reagents, I get 38 ATPs. What's the answer to the question, how many ATPs do you get from 1 molecule of glucose? Without concern for membrane or other reagent interferences, you get 38 ATPs. That's your board exam question. You need to know it forever. Okay, let's take a look here. Here is your big log right here. Okay, so basically we're going from these calorie-rich fats, and where do we find that? We find that in our body. Do you think you need to eat it? The answer is no. Fatty acids, where do omega-3 fatty acids actually come from? They come from green leaves and algae. That's why fish eat algae. They get omega-3. Fish don't know how to make omega-3. Humans don't know how to make omega-3. You get omega-3 from eating green leafy vegetables. Cooked, preferably. Okay, not raw. Okay, so the idea here with this whole system is that we're going to be using fat when we're aerobic. That is to say, you're running down. Now, you're not going to be able to have really great conversations if you're winning the Olympic gold medal. But if you're just jogging with your best friend and you're talking about stuff, you can run 10 miles on a jog on a nice trail someplace or a fire road up in the regional parks of the East Bay, you can have a really good time. Or just walk in the neighborhood or walk around Lake Merced. Walking and talking, that's the way to be. And you're going to have this system right here as part of your system. Okay, so this is the difference between aerobic, oxygen is present, and anaerobic, we're going to end up going for the burn. Okay, so that's the difference. Weightlifter over here, 10K or marathoner over here. Thank you.